With so many retirement traps out there, how can you prepare for your retirement safely? Well, we are going to discuss the various retirement minefields that you are going to have to look out for and how you can actually mitigate them. So stay locked in. Hi, my name is Carson Graves, Certified Financial Planner and President and CEO of the Retirement Education Center.
And my name is Andrea Graves, Director of Operations at the Retirement Education Center. And we want to thank you for tuning in to our Retirement Education Concepts videos. These videos were created to help to make the difficult and confusing retirement process simple.
Yeah, absolutely. Because with so many retirement concepts out there, so many retirement strategies, and of course with so many retirement products, it can become very difficult for consumers to digest it all. That's why we're so fortunate that we work with a team of expert advisors to help us build a financial roadmap that will let our clients know when, where, and how they can reach their retirement goals.
For additional concepts on how to maximize your retirement, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the notification bell to be notified when we upload new videos.
Before we get into part 2, there are always 2 rules to retirement income that we like to give you. And Andrea, what are those 2 rules?
Well, rule number 1 is to never run out of money, and rule number 2 is to never forget rule number 1. Well, Carson, the next risk that you have highlighted on your retirement minefields is the risk of aging. So what could you tell us to watch out for?
The risk of aging is a really big factor as well that most people need to look out for when it comes to retirement minefields. There are 3 sections under here as well that I want to highlight. The first thing is healthcare expenses, Andrea. Healthcare expenses can be a dramatic hit to your retirement income and your retirement portfolio. Most studies have shown that the average 65-year-old couple will spend over $300,000 as it pertains to healthcare expenses when it comes to their co-pays and, of course, long-term care expenses. Now, when it comes to long-term care expenses, many people mistakenly believe that Medicare will take care of them. But Andrea, who is now our in-house Medicare specialist, she knows about this a lot more than I do. So what can you actually tell us about what Medicare pays for as it pertains to like a skilled nursing facility, Andrea?
Well, what Medicare would pay for under the skilled nursing care is the first 20 days, they'll cover it at 100% your stay. But after day 20, you will pay a portion of that and Medicare will pay for some up to 100 days. So after 100 days, you're on your own. You have to pay for all those expenses.
So imagine that. As she just explained, you only have a certain amount of time to have a skilled nursing facility in which you, after 100 days, will have to pay for all the expenses on your own. Medicare will cover no more expenses there. Most studies show that a skilled nursing facility can cost anywhere from $6,000 to $10,000 a month. So making sure that you properly account for how you're going to pay for your healthcare expenses due to aging is critical to your retirement solvency. Another major risk that you're going to have to look for under this minefield of aging is unfortunately the risk of elder abuse. Now, this really chaps my hide when people take advantage of elderly people, but you have to make sure that you understand who's around you and who you can actually trust as you get older. Your family is supposed to be there to take care of you, but unfortunately studies have shown that family can also be the very people that actually take advantage of you. But you may have friends and other associates, you may have caretakers that you have to look out for who may be looking to get into your personal items and steal them from you. So you got to make sure that you account for the people who are around you and make sure they're trustworthy. And what's most important is that you seek out a fiduciary financial advisor that can also be a buffer to some of those people who you think you can actually trust, because a fiduciary is legally and morally obligated to look out for your best interests. And one last thing under the risk of aging that I have to point out is the risk of you becoming a little bit more fragile. Now, as we age, we all know that we're going to lose some of our bone density and we're going to lose some of our muscle tone. So the thing that I can really encourage everyone out there to do, if you're not at this point already, is to really start now to prepare an exercise regimen that you can do. By exercising and building up your muscles and also eating properly, you are going to diminish the effects of aging and actually becoming more fragile as you age as well.
Well, Carson, the next thing that you have highlighted for a retirement minefield is the risk related to your job. So kind of tell us more about that, because many people are being laid off, and during the pandemic, many people were being forced to leave their jobs.
Yeah, that is why that is one of the retirement minefields that you have to prepare for. The risk of actually losing your job. Now, when it comes to being forced to retire, it's not just, hey, I'm being forced to retire and now I can kick back and lay in the sun. You can't do that, because what if you were not actually ready or prepared to retire? What if you are forced to retire and you're actually at the age of 60 years old, Andrea? Well, guess what? You can't start your Social Security benefits until age 62. So you may have to be forced to dig into your retirement plans early. You also are not able to be covered for health insurance because Medicare does not start until when?
65.
Age 65. So you have 5 years in which you could potentially be out of any type of health insurance. So you may have to think about taking a part-time job. Your debts could be higher than what your income is allowed to be paid. There are a myriad of things that you can run into if you actually have a job incident related to your retirement. So if you actually know, and you're watching this video, that forced retirement can be an issue for you, then you really need to start preparing early for that type of situation. You may want to start looking at some side jobs or some side hustles that you can possibly do if this may be a factor that affects you. And one other factor that I would like to point out as it pertains to the risk related to your job is the risk that your employer could become insolvent. Now, we know we have seen this numerous times in our history. We've just recently seen bank failures that took place. And just imagine if you're one of those employees that was working for said bank and you come in the next day to realize you no longer have a job. We've also seen this in the past with, companies like Enron. And a lot of times you may have employees that have a significant amount of their retirement in that particular company's stock. Now, in this particular situation, to protect yourself, and what we advise our clients is that if you are participating in your company's stock, you should have no more than 10% of your retirement savings exposed to that particular company's stock.
Now, Carson, the last highlighted retirement risk that you have is the risk of family. Please tell us more about that one.
Yeah, the risk of family is a big one. I saved it for last because it's probably one of the most important risks that we're going to have to try to navigate as it pertains to a retirement minefield. So there's two main things when it comes to the risk of family that I want to discuss. The first one is the loss of a spouse or a loved one. This is huge because this is a risk that's probably going to be awaiting all of us at some point. And so as we know this, we can definitely prepare for this properly. One of the things that you're going to want to make sure that you do to avoid this risk or to mitigate this risk is to make sure you understand your life insurance. Make sure that you have the proper life insurance in place, that if you were not around, your significant other, your spouse, will be able to operate in the way that you will want them to operate. You don't want them to have a decrease in lifestyle because you failed to plan and did not have the right amount of insurance in place in order to make sure the kids can be okay, or that your spouse would have enough resources in order to live the type of lifestyle they were actually used to living. Another major thing, that if you are the higher income earning spouse, that you understand how to maximize your Social Security benefits. Why? Because as we know, if you've been watching our videos, that when the higher income earning spouse passes away, the lower income earning spouse who's receiving Social Security benefits, or maybe only receiving benefits off of your record, will end up stepping up into your higher benefit amount for Social Security. So it's really important that as we prepare for this inevitable minefield that's awaiting us, that if we're receiving Social Security and we're the higher wage earner, that we maximize that benefit. Another thing in this category that's important is that we understand our estate planning. We need to make sure that all of our accounts and all of our assets are properly titled, so there will be no probate issues that the spouse who is remaining will have to deal with. Probate can be lengthy and probate can be very expensive. So you don't want your spouse, who may already be burdened with the loss of losing you, have to be drugged through the courts with probate issues and the expense of actually finding a lawyer. With that being said, you might want to sit down with an estate attorney and make sure that you have the proper wills and trust in place so that when this actually happens, there will be a smoother transition when it comes to the estate. And the last thing that I want to cover when it comes to family is the unexpected child expense. Now, what do I mean here? We all know that we raise our kids to leave the nest egg at some point. But unfortunately, many of us also know that they may come back to the nest egg to live, maybe to get back on their feet because maybe they've had a messy divorce, maybe they had a job layoff, or maybe things didn't pan out in college. There are many reasons why we may have a knock at our door and say, "Mom, Dad, I'm home." Now, if this happens to you, you're going to have a plan in place to know how to mitigate this really significant risk to your financial solvency. One of the things that you may have to start working on is your stump speech of how you're going to say no. Yes, sometimes we do have to tell our kids no because we've done so much for them. And if we don't eventually learn how to say no, you could actually become the problem that you're trying to solve because you are actually enabling the kids to continue to depend on your resources. So you have to start learning how to say no if you feel like this may be a risk that you're going to be facing. Another thing that you're going to have to also do is maybe set a definite time. If you're going to help said kid, make sure you have a time frame in which you're going to do so. Maybe it's 6 months. We're going to do this for 6 months till you get on your feet and then you have to leave. But make sure you have a definite time in place. Along with having a definite time, you also must have a definite limit to how much you're going to help the kid with. We all want to help our kids, as I mentioned, but you got to make sure you have parameters so that you don't end up wrecking your retirement, because if you wreck your own retirement, who's going to be there to help you?
Well, Carson, thank you so much for that very helpful information, and thank you for watching. And if you felt this information was beneficial for you, please like this video and share with others.
So I really do hope that the information that we shared with you today will help you avoid some of the many retirement minefields that might be waiting for you. Please understand that these videos are created for educational purposes only, and that you should always seek out your own financial advisor, your own tax advisor, and your own attorney regarding your personal situation. Also, if you are looking for a fiduciary financial advisor to help you with these types of complex financial matters, we highly recommend that you utilize the links in our description below and go ahead and schedule a 1-hour free consultation with us today.
For additional information about this topic or any of the other topics that we've shared in our other videos, please feel free to reach out to our office or leave any questions or comments in the section below. After this video, please check out our other videos that will give you tips on how to maximize your retirement. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share it with a friend. Thanks for watching, and remember, if you have questions,
we have answers.